In a world where the truth isn't always what it seems, where the truth isn't four masters of real estate step forward to help put the E first. Step forward in the word put the E first. T in the word TREU. T Treasure Coast Real Estate. Unleash Treasure Coast Real Estate. Unleash the fantastic four of real estate. Here's the fantastic four of real estate. Tom Platania. Tom Platania.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting edition of Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. I'm Tom Platania, your host, and we have, as always, our fantastic four of real estate here with us. You guys switched up on me over there.
We got to test your skills.
I'm like, Farouk, wow. I'm going to change sides. But Carol, I'm really not too crazy about what you did over there. Oh, no, we're just choosing Farouk. We're just joking with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, good morning and welcome to another edition of Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed, and that's TREU Radio, TREU Radio. And why did we spell TREU differently? Scott, we've been doing the show long enough now. Why are we spelling it differently?
Well, it's all about education there, my friend. We're not just here to be, we're not salespeople, we're educators. We're here to teach people about what they need to know and the resources they need to gather to make correct decisions, whether they're buying or selling or leasing a home.
That's it. So education is the key. You know, when I start doing some, I'm always doing research. I'm always learning. That's one of the biggest reasons I actually got my real estate license is just something that I didn't have, and I wanted it. And kind of like in the dating scene, you know, I want it, I have it, and then once you have it, it's like, I'm done with it. That's why I've been married so many times. But no, that's why I really wanted to focus on that. There's nothing out there like this, and having four individuals such as yourselves that have the experience. And if you look at folks out there who are taken advantage of by unethical realtors or unethical businesses in general, the one thing you have to ask yourself, and if you talk to those people, is they did nothing to educate themselves ahead of time about what they were doing. They trusted. And, you know, that's why we changed the way we look at trust, or the word TREU, is we take the E and put it first because we have to look at something different. And also, doing research, we found out that the word TREU in German means loyal. Loyalty. Well, isn't that what they should expect from you guys?
Absolutely.
Loyalty. I mean, when I come to you as someone looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I'm putting my trust, I'm putting my loyalty in you to say, hey, you're the person who knows what's going on. And that's the great thing about you four, is because of especially with the company you work with, the amount of education. Farouk, what kind of education? I mean, you work for Keller Williams. I mean, it's amazing the amount of education they provide to you folks.
It's overwhelming. It's so much education and training that they do provide that, like I said, it becomes very overwhelming, and you really have to try to choose, find your one thing really, and work towards it. You can't try to jump around the place, and you really wouldn't get too much out of it. But if you kind of piecemeal the training they gave you and do one thing at a time, you'll be very, very successful with working with this company. There's no doubt about it.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I interviewed with a lot of companies, and I just, from being a new person in the business, yeah, you take the test, but I mean, as you guys know, 90% of what's on the test,
Right.
forget it.
It's not the real world.
No, it's not the real world. So, with Keller Williams, I saw the amount of education when I went and interviewed with that place. So it's different. So, and then being able to see that, okay, it's not just a realtor who's just out there. They're a realtor working for someone, and you've chosen that company because of the constant education that you get, and that's the key, the difference between the clients that are going to come to you. Like Carol, I mean, you've been in the industry for a long time,
I have.
but that doesn't mean that,
I'm always learning.
yeah,
I'm always learning. I mean, there's never a day goes by that we don't learn something. We don't know it all, and it's ever changing.
and that's what's
Business
great about
is
the
ever
education. Yeah,
changing. There's as much education as you want within Keller Williams as you want to take.
Yeah.
I mean, every day.
I learned that lesson at the beginning. I tried to take it all in, and I was like, okay.
You know,
I
you can get a
mean-
you can get a PhD
Yeah,
in
you
real
can,
estate,
for
and
sure.
and you could do it 12 hours a day.
I mean, it's
So
not
you-
just systems. I mean,
Right.
systems are a part of it, but the programs, the contracts, how you put everything together, and the meaning behind all of that, it can be overwhelming, and it does take time to acquire to do that. I mean, I teach classes there. I have one today after this class. If we don't give back to the people in our office, the newbies in their office, and let them know how to put things together, what different forms mean, you get lost because
and
it
that's
is
key to the
so
clients, too.
overwhelming. Absolutely.
And that's why somebody, a lot of times I hear some people don't necessarily buy because of the agency, the broker. They buy because of the agent.
Correct.
Well, it's great, but they have to be partnered with a good broker that provides the training and doesn't just throw them out there to the wolves and say,
That's right.
hey, learn by your mistakes, because you know what? It's not, even though it's your mistake, it's the client that's going to pay for it, right?
That's right. They do pay for it.
Yeah.
And you need to, when you are in front of your client, you better know what you're talking about, because it's quite obvious right away that you really don't, and you're not going to keep that client in. So I never tell a client, if a client asks me something that I don't know, I'm not going to tell them something they want to hear.
Oh, you don't do what
I'm gonna-
most realtors
no.
do?
I'm going to say, I can't honestly give you that answer, but I will find that answer out
Yeah.
for you and get back to you.
I'll tell you what else, Tom. In today's technology and with the internet, sometimes the customers know more than you,
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
and they'll know more about a particular area. So sometimes it's just sitting back and listening and
Exactly.
seeing what they want.
That's exactly, and that makes a huge difference, is learning when to listen, when to talk.
Right.
Because, a lot of times they tell you what they want. They
Right.
tell you what their needs and wants are. And, I've talked to some realtors over the time from buying and selling and leasing and things like that. And you know what? 90% of them, they just want to tell you how much they know.
Mhm.
You know what? No one cares how much you
Right.
know until they know how much you care.
Well,
Exactly.
your client is the one that's buying a house
Yeah.
or selling a house, and you need to know, one, if he's selling, what are your plans?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Yep.
If you're buying, what is it you're looking for in a house? Tell me what your needs are. Because otherwise, you could be running all over the countryside showing them 100 houses, and you still don't know what their needs are if you don't ask.
Right, exactly. Now, Farouk, there's a lot of stuff going on internationally, and you do a lot of international business
I
and
do
travel. What do you see different international market versus local market with real estate?
Well, one of the things that is really happening now is that because of where our economy is in terms of the prices of homes, we were able to attract a lot of foreign nationals, especially if their dollar is stronger than ours. Their buying power is very good, and for that they see an opportunity to invest in the United States. And people goes to different areas, especially if they're looking for second homes or
Right.
retirement or even for investment. They look at different areas where they think it would be good for them, you
Right.
know. And but there's a lot goes into it. There's a lot of laws in the United States that governs international buyers.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Now, and
and-
those are, a lot of those laws are different from what are in their areas?
Yes, in their country as well.
Are they more
because-
strict?
Well, it's not so much about their country, it's all about the United States. With FORPTA, there's a lot of regulations.
With who?
FORPTA, it's called FORPTA.
I dated her once.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Yeah, you did. Where there's a lot of withholding of taxes and all of that stuff. And for investors who are buying properties for investment, sometimes they think that they can just come over to the United States and just invest the money because they have it.
Right.
But everybody's got to pay the piper. We're here and we have to pay our taxes as well. However, they have to have like a EN number
Okay.
for international when they buy rental properties.
Oh, okay.
So it's very important that they also file taxes because there's income
Right.
that they're generating from their investment. So it's unless you're very familiar, it's an area that It's taking me. I don't profess to know it all. I'm learning as I go along because, as Carl said earlier, thing changes, at a whim. So right now, you steady got to be retooling yourself, keep educating yourself all the time. Sometimes I say to myself, I'm getting too old for this stuff
Yeah.
because every time you turn around, you got to do another
Something's
class.
changed, exactly.
You
yeah.
got to do another class in something else, and
But that's what separates you guys, and that's why, when we started talking about doing the show, we had quite a few people that were interested in the show, but we actually had to stop and look and say, okay, if we're here for a reason, we want to bring clients into us, obviously, but we want to educate listeners, we want to make it a great show, but we need folks sitting behind these microphones who know what they're talking about. We brought Scott on for looks, but, the rest of you guys... But, and I turned a lot of people away because it was, they didn't have the time, the tenure, or the education. And if a listener's going to call in, and if you want to call in, listeners, you give us a call, 772-220-9788. And we have a great guest in a little bit that's going to come on the show with us to talk to you about your insurance and some of the things that really are going to make a difference and the right questions to ask and the right answers to accept. And that'll be, when we get to her, that'll be Mary Beth Zipser with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. But it's just a world of difference out there. And, I know from being in the construction industry, 80% of the people that I deal with, they're uneducated. They've just been doing what they've been doing for 30 years or 20 years. Well, yeah.
Well, kind of segueing back to what you were saying with loyalty and combining it with education, one of the things that's really important to us in the McAllister team, and I know to my colleagues sitting here, is that we're part of the community.
Yes.
So we sell you a home here, we're going to be shopping at the stores you run or work at. We're going to be buying, the food from the grill that you own.
And standing there in the produce aisle as me, the client that you just took advantage of, comes walking through the Publix
Absolutely.
door, and I see you, and I catch your eye across the room, and my chest pumps out, and I grab that, eggplant, and I'm getting ready to walk over to you.
Yeah, I don't want to be hit in the face by an eggplant. but more than that, we're part of the community, and it's really important that we support the community that we're in. And I think that's something that's really, really great about what we do and what KW does is we do give back to the community that we're in.
And that's huge. And you have a lot of people that are trying to come in from out of town that really don't know much about Martin County because they don't live here.
That's right.
They're not involved in the Kane Center and the other daily activities that go on around here. And so that's a great thing why you have these four superstars of real estate: Scott McAllister, Carol Morgan, Farouk Ali, and Mr. Andrew Sesta. And if anybody would like to find out more about them or perhaps utilize their services, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. You can contact any one of the four individuals at 772-882-5700. To contact our Fantastic Four directly, you can give a call at 772-882-5700, and they'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And you know what? I guarantee you they'll probably save you a lot of money and give you a lot of education before you go ahead and make that transition. So we're going to go ahead and take our first quick break, and when we come back, we are going to be with Mary Beth Zipser from Atlantic Insurance Advisors, and we're going to talk about what you can do to protect yourself from the wrong insurance. You're listening to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. I'm Tom Platania, your host. We'll be right back.
Rates. That's what you get with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Remember, everyone's just one torrential downpour away from a flood. And with rates as low as $129 per year, why would you not get coverage? Call 772-233-4444 or email flood@atlanticinsurance.us and save hundreds on all your insurance needs. That's 772-233-4444, 233-4444 for Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Are you selling your home, wondering how you're ever going to move all your belongings? Well, don't wonder. Call the trusted moving professionals from Mr. Small Move. Their staff of full-time movers are ready to take the stress out of your next move. Mr. Small Move will safely pack, move, then place and assemble your belongings at your new location. So if you're moving, call the trusted professionals at Mr. Small Move. For a free estimate, call 283-5540. That's 772-283-5540 for Mr. Small Move. every 13 seconds, a home intrusion is committed in the United States, with property loss totals in the billions. Take action today to prevent it from happening to you with ADT, protecting homes and businesses for more than 136 years. Protect Security is your authorized ADT dealer on the Treasure Coast. Call Richard Stratman today at 772-708-2691. Protect Security and ADT, offering peace of mind security 24/7. Call today, Protect Security, 708-2691. Dramatic change invites invigorating new energy. Let Decorating Den Interiors create a dramatic change in your home's decor. They'll create a look that's important to you. Begin your home's gorgeous transformation by calling Decorating Den Interiors on the Treasure Coast at 692-8589. Visit their waterfront design studios on Southeast Osceola Street, downtown Stuart, and online at stewartdecorator.com. Has a recent foreclosure, bankruptcy, or short sale spoiled your credit? Fidelity Funding may be able to help. Their hometown lenders are specially trained to work with your credit history to find the perfect loan program and get you back on track. Even if credit is no problem, Fidelity Funding offers many dynamic loan programs. Call Fidelity Funding on the Treasure Coast at 772-237-5211. They work day in and out with realtors in your community to find you the house you love. Call 237-5211 for Fidelity Funding.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. I'm Tom Platania, your host. TREU Radio, TREU, because we put the education first in the word true. And we have, it's not often that I can say that when you go to a business, it's not only does she have incredible beauty, but she has brains as well. We have Miss Mary Beth Zipser on the phone with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Good morning, young lady.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. Wonderful. How about yourself?
Good. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Scott.
Good morning, Mary Beth.
Hey, Mary.
Hi.
You actually know them?
Yeah, I know them.
No. And they actually speak very, very highly of you. Very highly of you.
Well,
And,
thank you.
So real quick before we get into some questions and answers, tell us a little bit about what got you into this business, Mary Beth?
I was looking for a different business to get into, and I enjoyed talking with people, educating people. I enjoyed that one-on-one, and I started out just as a sales agent, and next thing I knew, I decided to open my own insurance agency. I had seen a lot of the ways that I didn't like the way insurance was being run, and I wanted to do something a little different.
And what do you say you do different?
I cannot count the millions of times I have heard people call me, and the biggest beef I guess they have with their agents, I don't get a phone call back. That wasn't explained.
That's
to
the
me.
same thing with realtors you hear, except for you guys.
I hear that, and why wasn't that explained to me? I hear that a lot, and it's mostly the service, I guess, the customer service, getting a person on the phone that will just take the time and explain. Let's face it, there's a lot of information. Insurance can be confusing. It is. It's confusing. I like to just lay it out there and take the time. And a lot of time we have first-time home buyers. They ask the most questions.
And as they should. As they should, but they need somebody like you who they can trust, that they have that loyalty with, and also have the educated realtors like we have here in the studio to guide them in the right direction of what questions to ask. Because you know what, if I don't know, how do I know what question to ask?
Oh, no, I agree. And
Yeah.
I talk with a lot of realtors. I talk with a lot of loan officers. The realtors that take the time to ask me, or even if they take the minute to say, hey, I always thought it was like this. Is that true? Or how should I love the fact that Keller Williams agents take the time, they educate, they'll always stop and ask, they'll get me involved. I can tell because they email me and call me a lot.
Hey, Mary Beth, I do a lot of properties that are, close or...
This is
or
Carol
right up-
Morgan talking right now.
Can't you tell?
It's Scott McAllister
This
here.
is Scott, Mary Beth. How you doing today?
Good morning.
We do a lot of properties that are either near or on the water, obviously living in Stuart and being in the sailfish capital of the world. One of the things I get a lot from clients that I'm talking to about potentially listing is why has my insurance gone up so much? I can't sell it for as much now because the insurance is so much higher.
You're saying they can't sell it because the premium they're paying?
No, the premiums that a new buyer would have to pay if they purchase the home.
Well, of course, there's a whole other subject there too, because if they're closer on the water, they probably are going to have to get flood, which is a whole other conversation. Any coastal properties, they're going to be higher. They have a higher loss, so the carriers are going to pass that on, obviously. But it also depends. There's a lot that goes into it. Year built, construction. Does it have to carry flood? Where is it sitting in flood? And also, I don't like it when people just assume, well, if that's what the seller is paying, that's definitely what the buyer is going to pay. There's a lot.
Right.
People sometimes don't take the time to review it. Sometimes the seller hasn't looked at this policy in a couple of years. So I stress to people, when you get a listing, at least get a current quote. Don't assume that what the seller is paying, that's what the buyer is going to pay.
Because I have had customers, they say, oh, can you find out tell me what the seller was paying, because I want to know. And I'm like, that's not necessarily going to be reflective of what you're paying.
No, there's so many bells and whistles. There's so many options, deductible options, endorsements. What did the person that's selling it add on? What did he not? What did he not take advantage of? Did he ever get that inspection? Did he not? So many things that could make his premium significantly higher than, say, the person what markets have opened up. Has he bothered reviewing it? A lot of times people don't. That's another big thing. A lot of agents just let policies roll and just let them go. We really keep a close eye if something goes up significantly. If someone has a credit removed, we'll kind of go to bat for them and either move them to a company that'll give them a more fair rate, or get that policy back down to where it should be.
Okay, you brought something up there that I think our listeners are going to need to know. You mentioned about that you'll find a company. And I think the question we need to ask there is, what is the difference between, I guess you would say, an agent company like yours and directly to the real estate company, or not the real estate company, the insurance company?
Right. Well, every agency or agent has a product to sell. The difference is some are more captive. They only have 2 or 3 products to sell. For example, I'd lost count. When I quote a home, it goes through a comparative rater.
Okay.
So I put it through every possible available market, and then once I find who is the player for that home, it's these 2 companies, then I go back into those 2 companies and fine tune them, and between those 2, see which is the best. So the loyalty is to the person and the product.
Okay.
The property, I should say.
Right.
Not necessarily like I have to sell this policy because that's all I have. I'll try to shop it to get the best, most reasonable. But at the same point, I want them covered fairly. They have to have a good coverage amount in the home.
And them going directly to a company means that they're going to get one quote from that one company only, and they really, unless they shop to the other ones, they have nothing really to compare it to.
Or know which ones to shop. I have a lot
okay.
of people that come to me and they say, "Look, I got this quote," and I look at it and it's, "Why is your quote so much less?" And I look at them and I say, "That's because the company you went to is just not a player. They don't like Martin County, or they don't like Palm Beach. They're great in Tallahassee, but why would you have gone to them?" Well, I didn't know better. You kind of know who has an appetite for this area and who doesn't.
Right.
Mary Beth, this is Farouk. How are you?
Hi, good morning.
Good. I must thank you for providing those quotes for me. Thanks again.
Oh, you're welcome.
A house built in 1998 with its original roof, and these are one of the things I get a lot. And the homeowner have to go ahead, and the buyer, and they have to get the wind mitigation, and still haven't done it with mitigation on a house built in 1998. They still do not get a credit for that. What's the reason behind that?
The reason, well, this is how it works. A lot of people think that the wind mitigation, it's just the roof. I hear a lot, "Oh, we didn't bother getting one, the roof's original." Well, what they don't understand is that wind mitigation doesn't only look at the roof age. There's about 7 different construction features that report validates, or construction features of the home that shows how it mitigates it against wind. So even though it's a 1995 or 1998 roof, they could have double wrap straps in their attic. They could have the best nails, the perfect spacing on their roof decking. They could have top line opening protection and hurricane shutters. There's a lot of credits that they would get on their huge credits that they still should get the wind mitigation, even though the roof is older than 2002. The cutoff is 2001, and older roofs in general do not get that number 2 on the wind mitigation. But when there's 5 other credits available to them that have nothing to do with the roof age, it's always, I've hardly ever seen it not to someone's advantage when the house is 2001 and older to get a wind mitigation. Even if the roof's a 1998 original or a 1995, they should always get one.
Mary Beth, as we're talking about wind mitigation, for houses that have, let's say, accordion shutters, because they're all kind of different type of shutters, do they get a credit for having hurricane shutters at all?
That is a really good question, and I hear that a lot. What I hear mostly is when people have wonderful top-of-the-line hurricane shutters, and then the wind mitigation comes back and says they don't. I get that question all the time. Well, I don't understand. Why didn't I get that credit? It's not truly a shutter credit. It's truly an opening protection credit. I know it sounds like we're splitting hairs, but at the end of the day, if every single window is covered with a hurricane shutter, but the garage door, another opening, a transom window over a door is another opening, a skylight, another opening, a side door off a garage, if those are not rated or covered, then you get no shutter credit at all. They're going to rate it by the weakest opening.
Oh, really?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a house just yesterday. He has the best. I looked at that, and they actually mark a deficiency. He had every single one covered except that his garage door was not braced or up to code. So they consider that an opening that's not protected.
Andrew, when you're out there showing homes to people, do you take a lot of these things into consideration with shutters? I mean, or do you kind of leave that a lot up to your client?
No, we take that into consideration. We try, through, our experience with different houses and, hip roofs versus gable roofs. And so we give them a kind of an idea, but we always ask them, to get a quote from an expert. For
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, because I can imagine. I mean, and that's the great thing about partnering with a lot of these people and getting the education is that you obviously there's things that you're not going to tell them directly. You want to turn them on to the experts, but at least you have a basic understanding to say you may want to ask about this.
Right.
You
Exactly.
may want to look into
Or
this.
you'll caution them and say, you know what, this is beautiful, but like Mary just said, it has this type of shutter, but it's not covering all,
Yeah.
all the
Especially
windows.
with the new
or-
homes today that they've gone up so high, they've got all these decorative windows up there. They don't
Right.
have impact glass on them, or you ask, do we have impact?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot
Very
of people
important.
don't realize that, just, a shutter is on the windows, but, the garage door, the side doors, the decorative
Yep.
windows, those can cause an insurance issue.
And that'd be a really bad surprise
Sure.
if somebody buys the house and maybe between the home inspector or the agent, the realtor, that they don't mention these things, and then they go get this insurance quote and it's thousands of dollars.
Well, that's
higher.
why that
Right.
wind mitigation is key, and I try to push that because I know a lot of home inspection companies offer that as kind of a side note. Hey, we can do this, and we usually tell the people. I mean, I've seen people get an the insurance quote go from $3,000 a year down to $1,000.
Nice.
Just because they did the wind mitigation. I know I've experienced that personally myself.
Me too.
When we just bought our townhouse, the original quote was $3,300. John from House Masters came in, did the home inspection, wind mitigation, and we got it down to $1,200
Nice.
because of all the credits.
I know
So,
who bought dinner that night.
but so yeah, it's that there's that wind mitigation is one of the key points that we kind of push to our buyers to make sure they get.
Mary
Yeah.
Beth, it's Carol. We have a very big misconception on homes out there today is for insurance as far as a concrete block or a CBS or a frame house or a frame with stucco.
Huge
There's
question.
huge. I mean, it's just
Huge question.
it's so misconceiving, and
You guys get asked that a lot out in the field.
Oh, absolutely. And people don't understand that. I mean, they don't understand why. These houses have stood and endured 3-4 hurricanes, and they're still standing, but yet their insurance could be triple. So can you explain, please?
Many factors go into the rate of an insurance premium. Like I said earlier, age of home, location, the coverage limits, etc. The rule of thumb is this. In general, CBS homes tend to be a little less, but it's not always the case. If you have a 1956 concrete block home that's a couple miles from the beach down in Jupiter, they could cost more for their insurance if they had a 2004 frame and stucco home, let's say in Palm City. So in that case, the frame costs less than the concrete block. Location, zip code, coverage amount. Now, there are most companies, when there's stucco on the outside of frame, the house is still basically frame. It's referred to as stick built. It was built with frame. It was built with frame, period. There are a few companies that will give an additional credit if you have stucco on the outside. They call it masonry veneer. So basically you have some concrete outside of the home, or if you have brick face, we'll consider that masonry veneer. But in general, a newer home, say 1995, a newer concrete block is usually going to cost a little bit less. But there are a few companies that do give credits for a stucco over frame if it's a newer house, as opposed to, like I just said in that example, a 56 solid concrete block sitting on, the water in Jupiter, it will probably cost more than a frame sitting in Palm City.
Well, it's because it's close to the water. Correct.
Yes, and age and all that kind of stuff. Yep, all that goes into it.
Can I ask you one question? Let's say, for instance, all things being the same, and we're comparing apples to apples, and we're in let's say Port St. Lucie within a 1 mile radius, and there's a house that's framed with all the same credits, let's say, and there's a house with CBS. Would there be a big difference in price?
If they're the exact same age and everything is identical as far as wind mitigation credits
Yes.
and everything, and the coverage amount, it will be a little bit less to be a concrete block home. Absolutely. And I've heard the arguments, hey, my house will give in this store. I hear it both ways, but at the end of the day, where it comes out in the wash, as far as the companies are concerned, the concrete block is always going to pay a little bit less.
Okay.
And to a point there, from the energy savings point of it, a non-concrete block-filled home is less efficient than a frame house, and I know that from when I do load calcs all day long. That when I do a frame house, that the insulation value, believe it or not, is much better, and
Correct.
actually reduces
The
the energy, and actually has a lower tonnage of air conditioning in it. But a lot of companies now are not building second-story frame, but they're going to 2x6s, which is just insane as far as energy savings. But the block, a lot of places aren't foam filling the block. So yeah, for energy savings, just a little tidbit of construction experience.
Can I go back to that mitigation for a second?
No,
Wind
you can't.
mitigation?
Yeah, go ahead.
I do a lot of new purchases. I do a ton of new purchases. A lot of first-time home buyers, and sometimes they come to me, oh, look, I went ahead and got a mitigation done in the house, and I look, and the house is a 2004 and 2008. And I kind of think to myself, gosh, not that it was a waste of money, but really, just sheerly by the fact that the house is 2002 and newer, once I entered that year built, they got 99.9% of the credits already automatically. So the wind mitigation wasn't truly necessary. Well, some companies now, even though the house is technically 2002 and newer, does not need a wind mitigation at all, they're going to get their credits, will allow me to go back in and override it and attach on additional. If I can prove that I have a wind mitigation in my hand saying they have all the openings protected, I can go ahead and get a couple dollars more off, and I'm all about whatever pennies I can get off, I'll get off. But that's,
Exactly.
yeah.
Nice savings.
That's somebody going to bat for their clients.
If they already have it,
Yeah.
and it's a 2002, why not try to get some more
Oh,
money?
absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Mary Beth, well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, so hold on the line here. And for you folks listening, if you want to contact any one of our agents here, 772-882-5700. And when we come back from the break, we're going to have Mary Beth with us talking about how she can educate you on homeowners insurance. We're going to pass out all her information as well. This way, if you have questions directly for her. You're listening to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. We'll be right back.
And great rates. That's what you get with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Remember, everyone's just one torrential downpour away from a flood. And with rates as low as $129 per year, why would you not get coverage? Call 772-233-4444 or email flood@atlanticinsurance.us and save hundreds on all your insurance needs. That's 772-233-4444, 233-4444 for Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Are you selling your home, wondering how you're ever going to move all your belongings? Well, don't wonder. Call the trusted moving professionals from Mr. Small Move. Their staff of full-time movers are ready to take the stress out of your next move. Mr. Small Move will safely pack, move, then place and assemble your belongings at your new location. So if you're moving, call the trusted professionals at Mr. Small Move. For a free estimate, call 283-5540. That's 772-283-5540 for Mr. Small Move. Every 13 seconds, a home intrusion is committed in the United States, with property loss totals in the billions. Take action today to prevent it from happening to you with ADT, protecting homes and businesses for more than 136 years. Protect Security is your authorized ADT dealer on the Treasure Coast. Call Richard Stratman today at 772-708-2691. Protect Security and ADT, offering peace of mind security 24/7. Call today, Protect Security, 708-2691. Dramatic change invites invigorating new energy. Let Decorating Den Interiors create a dramatic change in your home's decor. They'll create a look that's important to you. Begin your home's gorgeous transformation by calling Decorating Den Interiors on the Treasure Coast at 692-8589. Visit their waterfront design studios on Southeast Osceola Street, downtown Stuart, and online at stewartdecorator.com. Has a recent foreclosure, bankruptcy, or short sale spoiled your credit? Fidelity Funding may be able to help. Their hometown lenders are specially trained to work with your credit history to find the perfect loan program and get you back on track. Even if credit is no problem, Fidelity Funding offers many dynamic loan programs. Call Fidelity Funding on the Treasure Coast at 772-237-5211. They work day in and out with realtors in your community to find you the house you love. Call 237-5211 for Fidelity Funding.
All right, welcome back to TREU Radio, Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. I'm Tom Platini, your host with the fantastic Ford Real Estate. Scott McAllister, Carol Morgan, Farouk Ali, and Mr. Andrew Sesta. But do not forget our lovely and talented co-guest with us this morning is Mary Beth Zipser. Mary Beth, did I pronounce that right? Zipser?
It's Zipser.
It's Zipser. Okay, good. I actually started putting it into my notes, and I put an S instead of a Z, and then I caught myself. And I tell you now, we talked about real quickly. We talked about the way the market's going, and just now, you said, Carol, now it's a seller's market right now.
It is.
It's starting to teeter, though, right?
Well, I don't know if it's teetering. I mean, there's a lot of people out there right now. Certainly, we don't have the inventory in Martin County,
No.
or even in St. Lucie County. So when you're out shopping and looking for a house, your selections are going to be far and few between today.
Yeah.
So when that happens, it does turn to be a seller's market because they have a premium product to sell.
Yeah, because if you don't have
we
a
have
lot
more
to
buyers,
choose from,
less
yeah.
sellers right now. So, yes, I would say it has become a seller's
And with home
market.
prices starting to rise, interest rates
They are.
starting to rise, we look at it, and I kind of put this on Facebook, and for you folks that are like the social media, we have TREU Radio on Facebook, on Twitter. We actually have TREUradio.com. Remember, TREU. So please follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Go to our website where you can actually see each of the individual realtors that we have on here with us. You can see a little bit about their bios. You can contact them directly. Go to their websites. So that's TREUradio.com. And you can also go there and have some fun and watch the shows. Watch any of the shows that we're going to do over the time frame. You can see us in the studio, Scott waving there, and we got a brand new, beautiful high-def camera because I had to show off, how beautiful Carol was. And so the other camera we had just wasn't doing her justice. So
Trying to make my head grow.
yeah. Well, looking at the rest of us.
A couple of years off.
But let's get back to Mary Beth because I know we got a couple more questions from the agents here. And
Hi, Mary. It's Andrew Sesta.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
I have a question in regards to flood insurance. I know there's a lot of misconception. Let's say my house is not covered for flood and a pipe breaks on the inside, or this actually just happened to my brother about a month ago. His fish tank leaked, big 55-gallon fish tank, and just flooded the whole inside of the house.
Oh my gosh.
So can you give us some information on that?
Yes. People ask that a lot, and that's a great question. A true flood has to be a sudden inundation of rain, or it has to affect 2 or more properties or 2 or more acres. If you have a for example, a fish tank that were to break, or you were to have a toilet that were overflow, or a water heater, or something like that, that's considered a water claim, and that is covered on your homeowner's insurance, not a flood. Flood has to be 2 or more acres, 2 or more properties. Technically, you're up to your ankles in water, and so are your neighbors on either side. That's a true flood.
Okay.
But they both involve water.
They both involve water.
Just
I'm
where
sure
it's
his
coming
house
from.
I'm sure his house was flooded,
yeah.
absolutely, but that's not a true flood.
Yeah, it was.
That's when you do the
He
flood
came
map.
home to like an inch of water throughout the house.
Oh.
Couldn't figure out what it was, and
Awful.
ended
How
up-
were the fish?
Don't
well,
ask.
yeah. Don't ask that question. I don't want to traumatize his daughter and let you know
we had
really what happened.
sushi tonight.
By the way, on a serious note, the fish are not covered.
The fish are not. Yeah, I think he found that out. I went over there the other day, and the fish tank's gone. So I guess that's the end of that.
Like that commercial on TV where you see the guy, it's a car commercial, and he's racing through the streets and everything like that. It's got the fish in the little bag. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the fish in the bag, and he runs in at the last minute, dumps it in the fish bowl, and like 2 seconds behind him, his daughter walks in and goes, "Oh,
Oh.
fishy." Yeah, but I actually hear that question a lot about the flood and the water damage. Yeah.
Mary Beth, this is Farouk again. As we are speaking, we are not professionals. We don't profess ourselves to be professional in the insurance business. But one of the
Oh,
things
professional realtors.
we
Not
are
prof- not prof- I'm like, okay, where's he going with this?
that's on my segue. Anyways, from time to time we're confronted by our customers because, as you know, they go out and also get quotes on their own, and then they come back to us and with all these different quotes, and and they have all these questions for us. How do we really handle that? One of the things I try to do is exactly said what I just said. I'm not, that is not my forte at all, insurance. So you need to really consult with the people that you're getting your quotes from. But how
Yeah.
do you think more professionally you would advise us as realtors that we can handle that in a very professional manner?
I think just the way you said it just now, I'm not the expert here. I do have the number of someone who would answer any questions and give them my number. I'd be happy to talk to them. The biggest thing I see is when, like you said, someone does their homework and they have 3 quotes. Most of the time, because like I had said earlier, there's just certain markets that are just good in this area, and we know them. So if they go to 4 agents, most likely 3 out of the 4 are all going to give them the same company. Well, the question I get is, well, I don't understand. I got quoted from that same company down the street. Why is yours so much less? They don't understand why we both, the same quoting software, the same company, almost exactly the same coverage amount. Why mine is less? There's a lot
Because
that
they have a Lexus in the driveway, right?
Absolutely.
That's why.
Well, there's a lot that goes into it. I said, well, they didn't offer this. They didn't change that deductible. I know that you can do this and do that. There's a lot of options. It's easy just to push the quote through the system and let it default where it defaults, or you can take the time, give them a couple options, and say, gosh, if you just lower this a little or increase this a little bit, you might get another $2 or $3 off. And that's usually why mine will come in a lot less, because I'll take a time and really, like I had said earlier, once I realize who the player is and what best market it goes to, then I go, oh, this company, they allow this, they let me do this, they offer this deductible program, that'll get it down a little bit more. Most agents will just go through the company and send it out. So if you take a little extra time with each company, you can usually find a way to get a little bit more off.
One more quick question, Mary, in reference to flood insurance. Let's say I'm on the 4th floor of a condo, and the lender's making us get flood insurance, or making my client get flood insurance. What's the reason for that?
I hear that one a lot too. That's a good one. There was a famous case, and I wish I could remember the name of the condominium or the high-rise that was down in Palm Beach. If you're on a 4th floor condo, let's say, and there is a master flood policy covering the structure, but you choose not to carry flood. You say, I don't want to carry flood. I'm on a 4th floor. Why would I need flood insurance? What happens is this, and this actually happened. A flood came in, and the entire 1st floor and the entire foundation was compromised. Engineers came in and said, this whole building has to come down and be rebuilt.
Wow.
They did.
So
They
now-
tore the whole thing down. They rebuilt the whole thing. Now, Mr. Fourth Floor got handed his keys. Said, there you go, your unit's done. When he walked into his unit, he had no flooring, no kitchen countertops, no cabinets, no toilets. The interior part of the structure, he was not covered for flood. He didn't have a flood policy on his unit. So even though your unit didn't flood, a flood will
Right.
definitely compromise the entire building. Then you're covered. You're not covered if you don't have flood coverage.
Mary Beth, a lot of these condos have water towers. If a water tower, and I've had this being in the construction industry, where the water towers break, the pipes break within the walls, would that be classified as water damage or flood? Because if the tower breaks and floods, it's exterior.
Right. I would imagine that would be covered probably on the master policy. It would be considered a water
Okay.
claim
It
on the
would be
master
water,
policy.
okay.
Mary Beth, I have another question on the flood. We know that FEMA has now gone through and redone all of the flood maps. It's in the papers, it's all over, everybody's talking about it. If you weren't in a flood zone before, you may be in one now. They've postponed it out for, I think it's 2 years before FEMA's re-looking at it again.
All right, we got just a couple
Okay.
quick minutes left.
How are they adjusting that? People are wondering, what do I do? Is my mortgage company going to notify me?
And
What do
real
I do?
quick with that, Mary
I'm
Beth.
laughing. There's so much information that's going out, and it's changing every single day. At the end of the day, get the most recent, most current flood zone determination and get us an elevation certificate, because it is
Perfect.
changing. They're delaying those subsidies. The people that have subsidies, they were going to take them away. They're delaying that part of it. That's the part that's getting delayed.
All right, gotta
Thank
cut you
you.
short on that, Mary Beth. And Mary Beth, I want to thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Mary
being
Beth.
on with
Oh,
us today.
thank you.
And you have an absolutely wonderful day. And if anybody wants to contact Mary Beth, just give us a call here at 772-882-5700 to speak to one of our realtors, and they will go ahead and pass some information along. This way we can kind of track all the listener information and questions coming through the station. So Mary Beth, have a great day, and thank you
You
so
too.
much.
Have a great
Thanks,
day,
Mary
guys.
Beth.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, there you
Yes,
go.
yes.
And I want to thank you again to our Fantastic Four. And as always, before we go, remember Scott McAllister, Carol Morgan, Farouk Ali, and Andrew Sesta. Here is our words of wisdom for the day on True Radio. If you go out looking for friends, you will find they are very scarce. If you go out to be a friend, you will find them everywhere.
Nice.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
Well
great.
said.
So everybody have an absolutely wonderful weekend. And for all of you single ladies out there, you know, hey, I'm here and there's a Valentine's Day
Oh,
coming
my
up.
God,
So
really? That was so
Flower.
cheap. Oh my God.
Just look on the camera.
Notice I have myself off camera. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have an absolutely wonderful weekend and take care. We'll see you next Thursday morning here on True Radio.
Customer service and great rates. That's what you get with Atlantic Insurance Advisors.